Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerditude Movie Podcast. I am still here with Matt and Alex. We are I want to come up with a better way to introduce the podcast.
Still here with these assholes doing this shit.
Still here. Or no, I always say, "Hey guys." So how about this episode be for the ladies?
Okay. Hi, whammons.
Hello, ladies. Welcome back to the Nerditude Movie Podcast.
This has nothing to do with movies, but I remember when I worked at Dominic's, there was this guy. I was a cashier at the time, and there was this guy who was a little off, and he had worked there for like a decade, and he was like number one beggar.
A little off.
You know who? I'll tell you the name of. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about. Alex probably does.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but I already know him.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so there's these women. And they had like 2 bags, right? Literally just 2 bags worth of shit. But the rule was 2 bags and more, you ask if they need help outside. So he was to the T gonna ask, but the way he asked, like I literally standing there and I scanned this shit and I'm looking at him and he goes, "Would you ladies like some help outside?" And like in the creepy, like while he's doing this. And I verbally, without thinking, was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like in front of these people, and I was like, "Why would you ask him? Like that's weird." And like the women are just like, "Oh my god!" And they walked out, and I was like, "The fuck, dude?" And he's just like, "I was just asking if they needed help." But it's like, "Oh, you totally put me into some PSD mode there." Oh, shake it off. Sorry.
So on that note, we're back again with 2 wonderful movies, 2 very different movies. So the 2 movies we chose for this week, which I believe we had mentioned Tenet last week.
We mentioned both of them at the end of last week's episode, which will be live tomorrow or later today, depending on how you look at it.
But you know the drill. We're going to spoil them for you anyways. So we have 2 movies that came out in 2020, Spree and Tenet. But before we jump into reviews, what have you guys been watching lately? I was telling the boys off air that I recently purchased the Blu-ray box set of Resident Evil. I watched the first one, I liked it, and I watched the second one, and I remembered why these movies are awful. But I'm now on the 3rd one, and I'm gonna commit to watching all 6 of them.
Ooh, 6 of them. That's cool.
Yeah, that's
including the one in 3D.
Yeah, the one in 3D.
For me, it's pretty simple. I just been playing catch up on whatever I have recorded, so it's nothing special. Catching up with wrestling.
Lots of Goldbergs.
Still DVR things.
Well, it's a cloud now. It's a cloud.
Okay. Oh. What is the cloud?
Ooh.
Yes. Catching up on Superstore, if anybody cares.
You know, that's one of those shows where I've thought about watching, but I have yet to commit any time.
It's good. I haven't went back to it, but it's pretty damn funny.
They make fun of everything.
I have to check it out. Because somebody told me it's filmed inside of like a Costco.
Yeah.
In movies like Employee of the Month, The Watch, both of them. I love those movies probably because they're both filmed inside of a Costco.
Yeah, if you worked in a grocery store, you will enjoy Superstore.
Oh, I've done several types of retail.
Matt, what have you been watching?
Well, first and foremost, Sniper with Tom Berenger.
You finally got to watch it?
God, I still love that movie. It's not as goofy as you guys think it is. It's a serious, hardcore movie. But yeah, no, I watched that. A lot of The Office with the wife. Making our way downtown. I think we're in season 6, approaching season 6 already, something like that.
I was waiting for you to finish the song.
What's that?
I was waiting for you to finish the song, Making Your Way Downtown.
I believe you're on season 6, episodes 3 or 4. Or something
you guys know my voodoo better than I do at this point.
Yeah. So speaking of your voodoo, I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I might have said it, but we were looking
the line again.
No, we were looking through Voodoo, and Shay is like, "Why are these all movies my dad would watch?" And I'm like,
what?
Matt likes 80s action movies.
Oh yeah, big time. I went through a spree where I shouldn't say this, but they have the thing where you can scan the UPCs and get the disc to digital for like what was it, $2 or $5 Blu-ray or HDX, whatever. And there was movies that I couldn't find on Blu-ray, but I did find the UPCs online. So there was like one night where like 10 movies got added, and it was like Eraser, Soldier, like all these fucking random Arnold movies and shit, and a couple for Jen. It was literally it was literally like Eraser, So I Married an Axe Murderer. Like, it was just random shit, you know? But yeah, no, there's a lot of... That's our kind of... That's the shared account. So that's where a lot of the big action movies go. Although I've rebought quite a bit of the 80s shit on my iTunes as well. The one movie I don't have on either platform is Cobra. So look out. I'm going to be looking for that on sale soon somewhere.
Yeah, so I guess with that we could jump into these movies. I get just to give kind of an idea of this episode. So Spree is a very easy movie. We're going to discuss that one first. Tenet is a complicated film, which we will go into. So we'll start with Spree. This is on Hulu. If you haven't watched it and you own Hulu, which is given away for free with any fucking Sprint phone or whatever.
You can buy a pizza basically at this point and get a fucking month of Hulu for free.
That is true. So Spree, this movie came out on VOD in August. It premiered in Sundance in January of last year, but it released in August. Runtime for this, it's 93 minutes. Box office, which I don't know if that's accurate for VOD movies. When I look it up, but it's showing $43,840, which is cool when you think that. So this movie was probably shot for, I don't know if there were investors, probably like 60 grand or whatever. They sold the distribution rights to this movie for over $2 million. So again, Hollywood, like, we don't need your AAA bullshit. People can literally, like, with COVID, like, people are doing cooler shit than snobs like Christopher Nolan, which we'll get into that later.
Okay, so here's my question then. So is this like we're reviewing a movie that's made in the style or the way that movies may be made in the future, and reviewing a Nolan big budget, huge practical effect movie being a movie that was made in the style of old school filmmaking? Are we doing that juxtaposition at it? Because now that I think about it, it really is two completely opposite ways to make a movie.
Yeah, it is. And God, if we bring up Nolan though, I'll leave Christopher Nolan out of this because I have so much to say.
I'm going after him when we review fucking Tenet. Him and his mumbly fucking dialogue where my subwoofer's knocking shit off the walls, but the words are still all the way down here. Everybody for some reason fucking whispers like they got a fucking tracheotomy at some point, so they can't talk about a certain decibel level. We'll get to that.
So I will say, before I saw the movie, Matt was making that joke for weeks, and I saw memes about it. But it is true. It's all true.
It's damn true.
So for this movie was directed by a gentleman by the name of Eugene, and I can't pronounce his last name, so we'll stick at Eugene. It was written and directed by him. Distributed by RLJE Films, which I mentioned on the last episode. They do a lot of like these Shudder exclusive shit. They do a lot of indie shit. Joe Keery, is that how you say his name? Joe Keery, who is from Stranger Things fame. He plays the main character, Kurt Kunkel.
What a terrible name. Like, that's a real life terrible name.
Kurt's World.
96.
96, yep.
David Arquette makes it. I guess it's not a cameo. He's actually in the movie as Kurt's father. Kyle Mooney, who's the least funniest person on SNL, and I don't know why he's on SNL, and also I don't know why you watch SNL, is in this movie.
Wait, what character did he play?
He was Miles, the friend of the comedian.
Yeah, he's
the one that opened for her.
By the way, what a predatory piece of shit that guy was.
Yeah, a little bit.
Once again,
then,
no real characters, just stereotypes in this fucking movie.
He was playing himself.
Yeah, probably.
and then Misha Barton, who got incredibly fat and out of shape for this film.
How dare you look like a pig up in this movie?
She barely fits in the front seat of the car in the scene. She's so fat.
Well, compared to what she used to look like.
I didn't know that was her until you guys told me. I got to admit, considering she was like, I think 80 pounds at one point and like almost dead. Good for her. She found where the fucking McDonald's is, and I support that 100%.
I am joking.
She's no longer vegan.
She is not fat. She's just an obese cow. In this movie.
She's healthy now. She's actually
merely,
living healthy.
Merely that of a cattle you would see roaming the countryside. Just a big piece of shit.
We just lost like 2 listeners.
There's Misha Barton fans out there. How dare they? It's all in jest. If she wants to be a fat bitch, she can be a fat bitch, okay? No, I'm actually very happy. I didn't realize that was her. I'm very happy to see that.
No, she does look good.
I remember seeing the articles about her, and she looked like fucking a Tim Burton creation for a while. Like, she was real thin.
She looked like the strong hand from the Take My Strong Hand guy.
But basically, she's just like, at one point, she was like drug addicted and real unhealthy. I have to go back and, because you know what, man? I watched this movie late at night, and like, to me, I was just like, get to the point where they die. So, like, I didn't really pay attention, so I want to go back and see her, because I didn't really even pay attention. Like, she looks younger. Like, she's got to be close to her 40s. And she looked great. Like, when you think about it, I gotta go back and look. I didn't even think
you can't see the wrinkles because she's so fat. Okay, we're gonna stop doing that joke so we can just jump into the movie.
Somebody found the hot dog stand, didn't they, sweetie? What? Nothing. She looks great. Stop body shaming her. She wants to be a fat cow. That's her prerogative. Poor Alex. Alex's face, he can't take it anymore. He's like, stop saying these things.
Can the title be Misha Burton is such a fat cow?
No, that's too far on the joke spectrum. Like the little banter, sure, but then like that'll catch on, and we're gonna get blasted for body shaming. And who the fuck am I to body shame?
PH fat. She's cool. I'm not gonna start this off. One of you guys talk about the movie.
Alex, would you like to?
So basically, what Spree is this guy that works for a little rideshare company,
I'm laughing at my own jokes. I'm sorry.
Terrible. You're a terrible human.
Oh boy. So this kid comes from a broken home. His parents at one time were happy, and then they weren't anymore because his dad's a DJ and he likes to sleep around. David Arquette being a DJ
and a heroin addict, and let's tack on some other issues. You know who they were like modeling him after, right? Fucking Bieber's father.
Oh, really?
Look up Justin Bieber's father. When after like you'll see the similarities.
Well, there's some other things too that I found as I was watching the movie and then looking up the director. But so yeah, basically he's a rideshare guy that wants to go famous. He wants to be viral. He wants to be an inspiration to people. He wants to be one of those influencers. I don't know why. Fucking influencing people. But he can't seem to get his niche. He only has like 2 followers, and one of them is the kid that he babysat when he was like 2 years old and shit. Who's got more followers than he does? He's got like 50-something thousand followers compared to his.
Douche.
Believe me, I do know the struggle of the single-digit VODs and whatnot. I'm getting out of that struggle now.
I know. So this is why this movie resonates, because Alex was a rideshare driver, and Matt.
Oh God.
Matt is a social influencer, and you both have thought about going on killing sprees. So that's like the.
So what you're really saying is tag
full
team.
circle.
We need a tag team. Multi-stream on a killing spree. Gotcha. Yeah,
viral. Exactly.
Full circle.
Yes. No, I'm not doing it. You can't goat me into doing that accent. We're gonna get canceled. Can't do that. Steer away. Just don't go close to that accent, please.
Okay. So real quick, I'm gonna say the last part. Kurt's World 96. He wants to get his brand out there, so he decides to finally come up with something that's gonna make himself go viral. And
the lesson.
It's a spree. The lesson, hashtag the lesson. And it's a killing spree.
Well, the rideshare service is also named Spree. It's got that double
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole gist of what's going to happen from there. And then it just goes on to tell you about, or he goes on to tell you about how he's doing things. And he actually he had like some YouTube videos that he posted about how he was setting things up. So
yeah, my question was, when did those get posted?
Yeah, and why wasn't it flagged?
Yeah.
Unless it was like after his
well,
death
actually,
or
you know
whatever.
what? You can set it to publish. So like when we upload ours,
Okay.
you can give it a publish date. So if I want to set it to come out, premiere 3 days from now, you could set it so that he could have set it for. That just shows you how like he had thought it all out. It wasn't just a random spree. He had planned this quite a bit. By the way, from the moment they show his mother and he goes back in that house, I knew she was dead.
Yeah, but his mother, not fat.
Yes, she was. From what I remember.
No,
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was a heifer.
I mean, she was no Misha Barton, but whatever the fuck.
But how, like, okay, so we just described the whole plot of the movie, and
Yeah.
as usual, we're just gonna get into
Not
it.
much of a plot.
How the hell did he take her down?
It looked like he strangled her or hit her or something.
It doesn't show you anything. It just shows. It doesn't even show, like, it just shows you like this part of her.
Yeah, you basically just get
It
kind
just-
of her upper torso.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
But,
I
you-
don't know. But I knew as soon as he doubled back in that house, she was dead. I was like, fuck.
When they did the replay later of that, you can actually hear screams. So he must have been hitting her or something.
Yeah.
So in this movie does do certain things. Like, it's a low budget movie, so it obviously dances around the
Low budget.
violent scene.
This kid has
Very-
like eight
very low
fucking
budget.
GoPros, man. Where did he get all the money for these things?
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't shitty little those are GoPro Hero 8s or whatever they are for $300 a pop.
He was
That's
a
where
babysitter.
the-
And he worked for Spree.
That's where the $43,000 of this film went to. Is
Yeah.
all of the GoPros that were used.
Just GoPro. GoPro budget.
No, so like this movie does have a lot of scenes where like he's running people over in the car. He's just disposing of a body. So it doesn't show a lot of the violence. I think more of the like focus of the movie is, like Matt said off air, like these characters are like to the nth degree. Like they're all caricatures essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's basically this. Okay, so like I look at it this way, and I actually, we were texting about this earlier, and I was like, I think I hate this fucking movie. And then Lewis was like, well, I think this was the intention. And when you look, if you take it for a certain intention, which is the director basically said, here is one internet personality to the extreme degree, and we're going to throw them up against these other internet personalities. You have sassy black comedian lady, you've got Guido douchebag Mario, you've got the Karen who sells real estate, you've got the white power gentleman teacher looking motherfucker. So
The gamer.
yeah. So like that's the thing is like it's literally every part. His buddy or friend Bobby, the other streamer, is like the extreme douchebag doing random pranks on homeless people type streamer. So it's to the nth degree of all these pieces of shit. So really, I don't feel all these people kind of deserve to, in their own way, to get it. Like, and it's basically, in my opinion, one personality and this entire mixed up, fucked up bowl that is social media clashing with the other personalities. If you look at this movie in those terms, it's a much better movie than if you try to take it seriously, frankly. I mean, this is a movie you can't take seriously.
The one thing I did read was the director was giving them their direction from looking at Paul Logan, Ninja.
See
What's his name? Ice something. I can't. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, Ice Poseidon.
Yeah, Ice Poseidon.
Oh, that guy.
Like, the thing about it, though, is that's my concern. Because when I hear that sort of shit, I don't know if he's writing these characters or to be intentionally this way, or if that's what he sees and that's how he actually perceives things. Because if that's how the director and writer of this movie perceives the social media spectrum, it's a very narrow fucking minded social media spectrum. It's a, well, here's the top 10, so I'm going to base my entire movie and all the characters within by these assholes who all make 10 million a year from YouTube. When realistically, there's a lot of other smaller assholes like myself and other small streamers and vloggers and shit like that that aren't, that's not the standard for them. We're not all egotistical cunts. So I don't know. That's where my concern is the whole idea that he wrote these characters to be these pieces of garbage, basically social media icons of people, or is this how he looks at the world, which is more disturbing than anything?
Yeah, and it's weird because I think this movie does make fun of these people. I also I find it interesting that this movie did not get flack for
Some of
the type of movie it is. Well, no, not only that, like I feel like a couple years ago, movies like Spree or Unhinged, the Gerard Butler movie.
I want to see
like,
that still. No, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Oh, Russell Crowe. Yeah.
He looks like Gerard Butler.
You beeped at me, you bitch.
I think Gerard Butler is the low budget Russell Crowe. I think that's why.
Oh, come on, that's not nice. They're both mashed potato face at this point. That's the third mashed potato face.
We will do a review of Virtuosity sometime because I know Matt has it.
I could watch that over. I love that fucking movie, dude. If you haven't seen Virtuosity, you're not my friend. Like it literally is. Bye, Alex. You haven't seen it?
I probably did. I don't remember.
Dude, it's on Vudu. Check it out. It's
Matt
is that
used
Russell
to
Crowe?
watch that movie. And Denzel.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did see it. I don't remember shit of it except for
remember the scene where he
thought of
sticks
that one
his
too.
hand in the fucking fan.
Oh, then
robot
well, then there's like the beginning when Russell Crowe is first synthesized, and there's that like, do you feel it? Rock my and like his like as he's being like synthesized, he's like doing a dance thing. I remember as a kid being like, why would they choose like this is just weird. Like why is okay. Like, can we move on? Like I would literally my VHS player had one of those like turn dial fast forwarders. So I'd have to walk up to it and like it's a rotary fucking phone, but in a VHS player.
You didn't have the remote connected to a cable?
No, my parents wouldn't.
That
let us
only
use
went
the
like 3
remote.
feet.
They wouldn't let us use
3
it.
feet. So you're like,
if you used the remote, that meant you were standing up there. So what was the point of me using the remote when I could just flip? Like you had to go
standing right in front of it.
Yeah. What was the fucking point? So I just go right up to it. And then it would be like, "Don't do that too much. You'll wear it out." And it's like, that's why
you're stretching the tape.
Supposed to use it. It's gotta. There's a dial thing. Yeah. No, my parents were. I don't know. Part of me thinks they were both orphans or something. I don't know. They have issues. There's like literally.
One of these episodes is just going to be him breaking down, man.
I cook a lot for my family, and I asked my father for recipes, and he brought out this old fucking German cookbook, and starts literally one of the soups, cold wine soup. Would you like some blood soup? It's like, I'll make you broccoli cheddar. Like, get the fuck out of my face. Like, what is going on here? Sorry, go ahead.
I see Matt breaking down on an episode, and then I'm like, so anyways, back to reviewing Aladdin.
Yeah, right. I just can't do it, guys. You can fucking do it.
No, so what I was trying to get at is I'm surprised a movie like this and the movie Unhinged are like people are not bitching about like that type of movie because it's about a spree killer and
I think
Unhinged.
I think Unhinged had a fair amount of pushback. There was some shit that people. This movie kind of went under the radar.
Yeah,
I think is what it is. Is this kind of crept under to where people didn't realize it?
I see what you're saying. If this was probably like a high tier budget film, it probably would have got flagged for.
Yeah, because this just went to that festival.
I mean, look at the timing too. Right now, and not to bring this into play, but schools are out of session, so like. Pre-COVID, you can tie a lot of this sort of shit to like this is how school shootings happen. You know, kids watch movies like this and yada yada yada. And I think because the kids aren't in class right now, there is a minimal impact. There's less people saying this is because right now it doesn't matter. The kids aren't in fucking school anyway, so nobody's that's been pushed out of everybody's mind. But this is one of those movies that. If we get back to normal and it hits the hemispheres again of popularity, it'll be brought into play when the The Tipper Gore group wants to come out again and ban movies again for kids' behavior.
So another thing that
Yeah, old school.
another thing that's weird is Joe Keery looks like he's like 15 in this movie. The dude's 28 years old.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Stranger Things has always been kind of weird to me too, because he's supposed to be 15 and like the dude's literally shaving in between takes
And hanging out with children.
Like he's literally he's drinking beer on the set. Like, what's up, guys? And they're like, yeah, we're 12. Although now they're supposed to be what, junior high or something in the next season.
Yeah, so my wife is rewatching Buffy, which the first 2 seasons were filmed in like 480p. And it's just weird because like I've never liked the show, and just watching it I'm like, these are a bunch of grown fucking adults and they're high schoolers. Like, it's kind of weird.
I remember the one time I was over at Alex's and he threw on Torchwood, and he's trying to explain to me how cool of a show this show is, and he's like, no, it's kind of like Firefly, and there's this, and I'm like, oh, okay, we'll give it a shot. And the goddamn episode he's watching, like, literally the 2 main characters just out of nowhere, both dudes start making out, and I'm like, the fuck are we watching? Like, I thought this.
The reason why he's bringing it up is because Spike is the other character in Torchwood.
Yeah. And I was just like, what are we? Where's the space travel? And you're just like, no, well, they don't do this all the time.
Because in the future, everybody has everybody. Everybody gets with everybody.
Well, I'm okay with that. I just don't know why the episode you choose to watch with me is when the 2 dudes make out. I was a little confused.
I think that was the only episode that was on TV at the moment.
You just brought up Spike. I walked in randomly and Shay was watching an episode where Spike, who's a vampire, is in a wheelchair, and I'm like, what? Like, did he lose the superhuman powers in his legs?
No longer
he just has vampire powers up top.
Apparently, horses can Christopher Reeve you, even though you're a demon. It's a spicy episode.
Seriously. His legs would have been fine if he was fat.
I just think of like the Joe Swanson syndrome, where it's like they're always like making jokes about it. I do believe that True Blood is nothing but a ripoff of Buffy, made better. Central
I can see that.
When you look at like all the kind of the pieces, like I don't think there'd be a True Blood without a Buffy, even though I'm not a Buffy fan.
True Blood was a good show. Kind of went off the rails at the end. I'm excited for Dexter to come back, even though it's a miniseries.
They're adding more and more fucking people to that thing too.
I just want him to be.
Are they bringing back dead characters like in his head?
No, I don't. Well, more than likely, but they haven't said that yet. But it's centered in upstate New York, I think, is where they said it's located.
As long as there's no flashbacks of a grown man with a wig on pretending to be a child, I'm all good.
The first episode,
still a good show.
The first episode is just him chopping wood.
So I guess we should talk about this movie some more. I don't know. It's a pretty simple movie. I mean, this kid promotes, or I don't know if he ever actually says what the lesson is. Does he actually describe it in the end?
Well, so here's the thing. So in the movie, the lesson is the director saying is his lesson about social media. That's the whole thing.
Okay.
The lesson in the end is the director/writer saying, this is a dangerous path we're going on, this fixation with social media, this fixation with having to be the most popular, so on and so forth. So that's the actual lesson of the movie. But no, he never actually fully talks about what the lesson is. You just assume it's the lesson on how to go to a fucking rampage and kill people.
So the actual end of the movie kind of resonates with me. Basically, Kurt goes on a killing spree, and at the very end, he the last person who he has the rideshare with was her name Jessie. Throughout the movie, Kurt gives Jessie a ride, realizes that she's popular, and tries to kind of cash in on her popularity while streaming.
Follow.
Yeah, Jessie ends up getting out of the car after she's where she needs to be. And the movie kind of wraps around where he ends up in a rideshare with her again after killing someone and taking their
Which
car.
they don't show. They don't
No,
show
they
the
don't.
dude getting. He's just, which is kind of cool. But in a movie where you've already done that twice, show me the fucking kill. You've already taken two. The first two people you killed, you didn't show. Why? Enough. That's not. It's no longer a trick. It's a fucking horror movie. Show me what I want to see instead of this mystery. Like, I get it. It's a cool effect if they hadn't done it twice before, because then it's like, oh, this guy's just gone now. But once again, we've already seen this twice before. What? At this point, 60 minutes earlier.
Yeah, as a horror movie buff, off-screen kills and jump scares are not original
Not your
to me.
favorite?
They're not effective. Like they don't.
There's only
don't do
one.
anything.
There's only one movie, and here's the premise, the precedent. You have to have your sound system, headphones, whatever you're using, turn the fuck up. But Drag Me to Hell is the only movie that will not allow you to rest. It's just got too much of it, and
The end scene in that movie scared the fuck out
well,
of me.
Sam Raimi actually had the theaters crank the audio. I remember when I saw it in theaters, I was like, wow, this screening is really fucking loud. He actually had theaters up the decibel because that movie is nothing but jump out scares. Like, it's not a scary movie. It's more of a funny movie than anything. If you removed all the loud audio, like if you watched it very low audio, you'd be like, what the fuck is this movie? This is garbage.
See, but when you say crank the audio, you mean on the mixer everything went up instead of like Nolan, where he's like, no, just this half of the board.
Okay, right. So here's what we're gonna do, right?
Made it look like a little cascading.
I want the dialogue, right? The voices.
Is Nolan British?
Yeah, he's British. All the way,
Oh, shit,
all the
okay.
way down, right? I want it all the way down. But I want this random kind of sound. I want that all the way up. I want it all the way up. Why? Because they're in the tunnels. We've got to be realistic here. Like, come on, Nolan. Like, I was watching that angry because, like I said, my house is falling to pieces. I have my surround sound so loud. Fixtures are falling off the wall, and I'm still like, come again? What was that? I watched it with subtitles on to make sure I wouldn't miss shit.
I did that too.
You have to. The only way to watch the
All
movie.
right. I think we should wrap this one up so we can talk
All
about
right, so
the
wrap.
title fight.
Let's wrap up.
Kurt's
Spree.
World '96.
Kurt's World.
Basically, it ends. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, as I say, it's a quick movie. It's not a movie that has a story that's of meaning. I mean, this is kind of a throwaway film, really.
It's junk food. It's
It
the
is.
bag of chips equivalent of a movie.
Actually,
it-
question I have for you two: would you get in an Uber with 8 cameras set up?
No. No, what I would be doing is I'd be rolling down every one of his windows so they pop off the suction things. So he'd have to come back and put them back. I'm like, you're not gonna no, fuck you. I'm getting out of your cab or whatever, your Uber. Your
One
Spree.
thing though that I am going to say about the spree driver is every person that was in his car is the same fucking shit that happens to you when you're in a fucking car driving, driving passengers. I had every one of those passengers in my car, and they pissed me off most of the time.
You got to do the water thing.
It
Right. Just remember, just a little bit of
And not
hot
the-
glue, water.
a little bit of hot glue. But I
No,
got to get the one that's BPA free, right?
Yes.
So I will say I was going to mention earlier, but we're so ADD that I didn't bring it up. The one thing that resonates with this movie, if it's if you don't take the movie seriously, the very ending is people idolizing people who do bad things, which is a very real thing that people do. I mean, you can find plenty of shit on Columbine where people that are younger than us like worship these people, and that's the one thing in this movie where it gets to the end and you kind of take it back a moment and you're like, yeah, this is something people fucking do. But other than that, it is a popcorn film. It would be cool if this film had a bigger budget to actually see some gore, like some violence thrown into it.
Yeah.
I wish the writing was a bit smarter. The writing is pretty dumb. Like, when you really think about the dialogue and everything, like, here's the thing. If you're going to turn the kid into Patrick Bateman, which is what they essentially try to do by the end of the movie, you have to make him hyper intelligent. A doofy fucking kid like this kid wouldn't go psycho, wouldn't do all this shit. especially when you have to think about how methodical his whole approach had to be, how planned out it had to be. This kid wasn't smart enough for the acts he carries out, and that's a big issue I have with his character. Is you want him to be this big bad evil, but in real life, this type of YouTuber would never have this happen.
Well, you also mentioned off air. I might be remembering this incorrectly, but you had said something like if you have all these characters that are a caricature, you have to have one person who's kind of like serious.
Yeah, and here's the thing, you could until the end of the movie, you can say David Arquette was that grounded character. Because until the end of the movie, Arquette wasn't bad. And then you get to the point where, by the way, the kid's death is pretty cool. He gets pinned against the wall. But it really
gets smashed in the face.
Yeah, with the phone. It really pissed me off because David Arquette was the grounding character. And then at the end of the movie, he comes out supposedly on heroin because the needle's sticking in his arm. I'll tell you right fucking now. If you're on heroin and you're high to the point where you can't remember the fucking needles in your arm, you ain't walking anywhere. That's not how it works. So this idea that he would stumble out of the room with the needle still, what? And then go ballistically sad and crazy. You ever seen somebody on H? Doesn't work that way.
How did he get into the house and not see the mom there?
That's the other thing, is he's in a bedroom and she's in the living room. You just like once again, but he was drugged out, and that's a lazy fucking way to explain a lot of holes in that one scene, and it ruined Arquette's performance. It ruined the fact that he's no longer grounded. He's another goddamn character, and I don't know, like it pissed me off.
He is a character because what was his name? DS.
Yeah, but even with that, he had the idea of he was the broken home father trying to make a connection. Now I immediately knew he wasn't, the problem was I know they modeled him after Bieber's father. So right there kind of tells you that he's not going to be playing a straight character, but he was the most grounded. Not one character in this fucking movie is realistic. There's no one you could say this movie happened in a goddamn alternate dimension, because of the fact that there's not one realistic thing to tell me that this actually happened in a real world scenario in the movie universe. Like, that's my biggest problem, is it's literally like somebody went online and did a fucking Charlie Day board, whiteboard, and was like, well, this social media president is going to attack this one, and we're going to do this one. And it just feels very disjointed in that, where it's like less about the story and more about like, who can we put him up against next? This kid's got, we already fought the white power. We fought the Karen. Who's next? And then I do appreciate that the end of the movie does show how, her whole thing was she's off of social media. And then because people are telling her she's going to get clout, 3 or 5 days later, she's back on social media and fucking bigger than ever. And her followers are right. And like, it shows you the vicious cycle of like, even out of all that, because of that horribleness, she's now a celebrity. Because of
her last post.
Yeah, so you can, because the fact, Kurt made her by doing what he did, and her doing what she did in response. Without Kurt, she wouldn't be that big, especially not that fast. So I appreciate that, but it's like, I just feel like the director / writer is trying to like give the world a lesson about social media while making the most shallow fucking representation you can think of social media. And that's where I have a problem, is it's like, where does your lesson come in when your movie's basically goofy when you really think about it? And that's a problem for me. I don't want lessons in goofiness.
Did either one of you actually read some of the things that were going through,
chat?
From the followers?
Yeah. I tried reading some of it.
There was one from Puffy Wiener saying Kurt looks hot. I was just like, what the fuck?
I like the ones where they my camera's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, you look high as a kite.
I don't even know, man.
He's not low.
I gotta get my all
right, we're moving on to Getting Fried with Matt. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, me, my air fryer, and some of the God's green devil's lettuce. Let's get to the hot dogs. What do you guys got?
All right, I'll go first. So this is a quick movie to watch. Like I said, it's not a very story-driven film. If there's anything to take from it, it's really the very end where you just see how weird people can get with idealizing people who do crazy shit. I'm gonna go with a 2.5 out of 5 for me.
I'll go next. So you say it's a quick movie to watch and stuff, but it actually took me about 3.5 hours to watch. With all the pausing and stuff, and having to get up and go do things and
I
make
thought you were
sure
just having to get up and go to the
Yeah,
bathroom.
I peed,
no
I peed 16 times during that movie.
going to make sure that my kids are still in class,
Those sons of
virtual and
bitches.
shit. But yeah, like you said, it doesn't take much to watch the movie, and there was a couple things that I missed. Like you said, David Arquette came out with a needle in his arm. I missed that completely.
Yeah, it's at the very end when she rams the car through.
Yeah.
When he before he starts yelling when he sees the mother. If you notice,
Right.
he's literally got the band and the needle in his arm as he walks out of the room.
Yeah,
Or
I didn't see that
wherever
part.
the fuck he
but
was, they don't explain. He was just he's what is he in the kitchen
It
on the
came
floor
out of the
drunk-
kitchen or some shit like that. Yeah.
Just getting a snack. Oh, she's dead. Like what the fuck? Terrible. Oh, he's like Randy Marsh from fucking South Park is the character he played in this goddamn movie.
He is Dewey.
Oh,
Dewey.
Officer Doofy reporting for duty.
So it doesn't take a lot to fucking watch this movie. One thing I found amusing at the beginning of it was it is on Hulu, and one of the advertisements that popped up, it said it was powered by Subra, which is funny because this guy's going on a killing spree using his car.
Now, he was driving a Prius, right? What was he driving?
That I couldn't tell you.
I kept trying to figure it out and I couldn't.
I think it was a Prius.
Looked like a Prius, right? What a son of a bitch! Murders people, saves the environment.
Nice.
But
Two and a half hot dogs for me as well. Is
um,
my final number.
I'm gonna give it a 2, man. There's a lot of goofy shit in this movie, and I'm normally like I love goofy shit, but it was goofy shit that wasn't well done to me. Like I don't know. Like I said, there's not one real fucking person in this movie, and that bothers me.
It might have been the police officer.
Nope. Even they were dumber than normal cops. Otherwise, not one of them would have been shot in a fucking that whole scene where she wakes. Who the fuck wakes up and instinctively shoots at a police officer? Like there's 3 people there. You couldn't tell skinny, short, white kid, cop in full uniform. That was a stupid fucking scene, and they don't resolve it. She goes running into the woods with a gun, and the other cop's chasing after her. Like I'm gonna give it a 2. Two Chicago dogs, but they fucked up and they didn't give me my extra relish.
They put ketchup on it.
Oh, that's the shed.
They didn't put the green relish on it. They
No,
just put
see,
some
I don't.
other shit.
The brown relish?
Green relish is overrated. Like for me, and maybe it's just because I got shitty fucking taste buds, but I like the Vlasic or like the regular Vlasic relish on a hot dog. The green relish, I don't know. There's something about the dye I think they put in it that changes the fucking flavor of it. Because just go try some standard relish from even generic. You get the jar for $1. That shit's better than in my opinion than.
Do you also get the spears put on there?
Oh yeah, I'll do it all.
You have to.
You gotta have the pickle.
And you gotta get the sweet pepper that when you bite it, it squirts down your throat and you almost die choking.
Yeah, because it
The
turns
sport
into
peppers?
yeah, it's fucking or when Portillo's gives you 4 of them on your hot dog and you're like, oh, go. You turn into the fucking guy from Dumb and Dumber. Here, Lloyd,
Also-
this helps.
Do you like the poppies on the buns, or do you rather have no poppies?
I'm pro poppy seed.
Those things just get stuck to everything. They fall
I know
all
that's
over
a crazy political stance to take in this day and age, but I am pro poppy seed. I'll tell you that much.
That's all that's left at the bottom of the tray. Like that's all you hear is the poppies rolling around.
I am one of those assholes though, where I will like if I'm like putting if the buns are done because the one Vienna that we used to go to is dead, so we got to go to the other one. But when we would go to Vienna, you would get the hot dog buns occasionally, and then I would wait until it was empty, and I'd make a hot dog, and I would pour the poppy seeds onto my other condiments. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't care. I don't do opium, but I'm okay with the poppy. You know what I mean? So we'll be right back with probably a knockdown, beatdown discussion of why Nolan's a twat and his movie Tenet. We'll be right back with you. You'll be hearing on the Spotify a word from our sponsor, Anchor. Alrighty. Be right back.
All right, guys, and on to our main feature of the night, Tenet, which was written and directed by Christopher Nolan, as his mother calls him. This movie, runtime of 150 minutes, budget 200 million, though once you add marketing, this is probably closer to 400, 500 million. Box office made 363.1 million.
Yeah, I know, but WB's an asshole for wanting to go VOD on their movies. Yeah, let's leave them to the theaters so we can't even break fucking even.
So this movie, obviously, this is a big film that fell into the pandemic loop of obviously theaters not full capacity. However, this movie didn't make. It most likely didn't break even, because it would have probably had to make closer to 5 million. But this box office that's not even counting like Blu-ray DVD, so it's probably inflated a lot higher. And also box office doesn't include VOD as well.
No, box office was just whatever that hit to the theaters.
So I guarantee you this movie's probably sitting at closer to 400 million, which further proves that Christopher Nolan. We'll get into Christopher Nolan. Let me go through the cast.
It's like he it's like he was in the grocery store with my mother and tripped her and she fell on the floor. Like I have like a personal vendetta against the guy. You know, like Christopher Nolan. No, he takes his dog every morning and lets it shit in my fucking lawn. Like, you know, it's that type of thing.
He doesn't pick it up.
Yeah, he just leaves it and I step in it.
So for cast, so John David Washington, who is a great actor, plays the protagonist in this film, and they don't give him a name really. That's just what he goes by.
Can I just make the suggestion? If you do remake the Warriors, make him War Chief, please. Just saying.
I can do that.
Just saying.
Robert Pattinson, who plays Neil, the protagonist's handler.
Make him Swan.
Okay. Are we recasting the whole cast as the Warriors?
It's gonna go on.
By the end of this fucking movie, sure.
Kenneth Branagh gonna play?
I don't know. I mean, there's nobody in that age bracket he could play as. When you think about it, how was there? I mean, you can't make him the guy who does "Can You Dig It?" because then everybody would be like, "What? He was back!" And it's like, yeah, I get it. He's British now. Can you dig it? Like,
no. Who were you asking about? Who's going to play who?
Kenneth Branagh. Like, there's nobody old in the movie enough to for him to play because he's in like his, I think, 60s almost.
Then you got to make Aaron Taylor Johnson. He could be the "Can You Dig It" guy.
No, Aaron Taylor Johnson is the bottles dude, the villain on the other gang. You know, the come out to play. You know, the guy who was Sully in Commando. He was in VFW, which we watched last week, as the stoner who dies almost immediately in the fucking movie.
Yep.
No. We can recast the Warriors movie right here, right now, and it would be good just by using Tenet characters and actors.
So you also have. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, what was his name? From Warriors with the baseball bat. He's Dexter's dad.
Ajax, yeah.
Ajax. That would be the other British dude.
He was also Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, the sequel.
That's got to be Martin Donovan then.
Oh, what?
Martin Donovan, who plays the CIA boss. He's Ajax.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know who the fuck Michael Caine would be.
Oh god, Michael Caine's not in the movie.
We burned the forest down.
Alright, I'm sorry, go ahead. We'll stop recasting the Warriors.
Michael Caine's dentures can play the gravelly road in the movie, I guess.
They're gonna get ya.
God, what were we talking about? We're talking about a cast, but recasting for another movie.
I just want you guys to know when I edit this episode, I'm going to lower the entire review's audio so you can have to put on subtitles to see what the fuck we're saying.
Actually, is there any way every time we say Christopher Nolan, you can make the audio pitch go really high and then shoot?
Christopher Nolan. Well, these guys really don't like the Christopher Nolan. That's not true. I think he's a great action set piece director.
So every
And
time
then,
we say the word Christopher Nolan,
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan.
And then I guess last actor I'll mention is Himesh Patel, who is in the movie Yesterday, which is a fucking great movie if you
I actually
haven't
haven't seen that movie, and I want to.
he's also in that.
Sorry, please go on.
He's also in that space movie I was watching on what was it, HBO Max that I told you with Hugh Lowry. He's
Mike
a
Lowry?
comedian. Hugh Lowry.
Lowry.
No. Lowry.
Lowry.
Oh shit, I can't remember
So,
now. It's fucking.
This
I'll figure it
isn't
out.
meant to be rude. It's a joke, but his name does kind of sound like a dish I would order at an Indian restaurant.
Himesh Patel.
Yes, that sounds like it comes with rice.
Does sound delicious.
It does sound right? Like, herbs and spices.
So we could jump into this movie, but before we do, so Christopher Nolan, I watched this movie twice. I like Christopher Nolan as a director. Inception is probably one of his higher rated films for me.
Yeah.
I did enjoy Interstellar, not as much though. That movie is also kind of up its own ass in certain parts.
Audio also terrible.
So, but because I like Christopher Nolan, I watched this movie the first time,
Dark
and I
Knight.
had told you guys, like, yeah, it's a pretty good movie. And then, like, I thought, like, okay, hold on, you're watching this with the rose-tinted glasses of, like, you enjoy his movies. And then I watched the movie again, and there are so many problems with this movie that we'll get into, which we could bounce back and forth. So one of the problems I have with this movie is that I think that all of the characters in the movie, with the exception of Robert Pattinson's character Neil, are pretty bland. And I don't know if it was intentionally shot that way. Like, there's not like... And maybe David Washington's character, the protagonist, is meant to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no one in this movie that has like any emotion that makes you like actually give a shit about them.
Here's the thing. Every character in this movie, in their own way, is a merchant of death. So you're not dealing with... David Washington is a contract hitman for the CIA, basically. He's the James Bond for the CIA. So, like, none of these people in this movie are people who have feelings. Like, the feelings have been trained out of them. And you then, by the end of the movie, when you find out how Washington has actually touched the lives of people like Pattinson's character, Max, is what I'll call him.
Yeah.
You know, so the idea that, like, you're not dealing with the group of people that are going to be emotional beings, but in the same token, that unfortunate lack of emotion that the actors do deliver kind of gives you the, like, who fucking cares? Like, I mean, the main character is called the protagonist, which fucking, when you're watching this with subtitles on because Mumble Mouth is talking again, and it says the protagonist, that is fucking annoying.
Now, Alex, did you watch this with your sound bar decently up, or?
No, I was listening to the headphones. I had them both on, and I turned down the noise canceling just because I was alone. And it was so fucking loud, it was shaking my head. If I did turn it down, I couldn't hear anything
The dialogue,
as far as talking goes.
Yeah, which I guess that we can get out of the way. The mixing in this movie sucks ass.
The first 30 or 40 minutes of it, if there wasn't so much loud background shit from everything else, I probably would have fell asleep.
You mean like the random generator sound that's just going on for like 45 minutes?
Yeah, just like shit that was going on in the background. It was keeping me awake, but I couldn't understand half the shit, and I really didn't pay much attention to what anybody was saying. I was just watching, and I was hearing most of the fucking sounds around them if the cars are driving or whatever.
It's almost like Christopher Nolan was like, I want this movie to be like a music video. I think actually, since I watched the movie twice, there's really, I want to say there's 2 or 3 scenes in this movie where it's just like dead silent.
Yeah.
Like no ambient sound, nothing.
During a fight scene. Like, okay, so the fight scene that he has with himself, right? I understand by the end of the movie it justifies the means and it ties the two scenes together, and it's actually
certain spots that look so fucking stupid.
it's a pretty cool effect, right? But then, like once you get to like 1 minute 30 seconds into this weird fucking fight scene, and it just looks like they're fighting from equilibrium, where their like hands are just like. Like neither one of them are connecting. They don't know martial arts at all, and they're just like, "Let's slap you!" Like that's what it looks like by the end of that fight. And while it's a cool effect, when, like I said, when it comes around full circle, and you see the other side of it in more of a forward motion, and you realize you tie everything together, and I just want to point out that Nolan, in my opinion, is the man who took comic book movies and told people you can make them into legitimate films. He is owed that respect. Dark Knight is not only, in my opinion, the best comic book movie ever made, it is one of the best movies ever made. It's an incredible film, regardless of what the subject matter is. With that,
it's also very loud.
See, but the soundtrack wasn't as bad dialogue-wise in that one. But there are those scenes where, like, for instance, the one I can think of is when Joker busts in on the party, and it does that dun dun dun. Those in the rear channel, if you're sitting by, it'll blow your fucking head off. So, like, he's got weird mixing, but he's also a dick about it. Like his response to criticism is basically like, "Fuck you. This is how I think it should sound." And it's like, okay, you dick. And then like when they say, "Well, the dialogue it's low," people blah blah blah, and it's like, "Well, dialogue's not that important to a film. It's about the atmosphere." And this is the man that is now separating from WB. Because they did the HBO Max merger, and he's just to preserve the art. Meanwhile, this mumble mouth fucking movie premieres, and it doesn't even break even. So what he's basically telling the entire movie industry is, how dare you? You should sacrifice all profits you can have until this industry maybe bounces back. Once again, an industry that as a whole was on the verge of bankruptcy pre-COVID. So it was already had a bum fucking leg, and the farmer noticed, and they want the entire film industry to put it on hold because that's where film should be viewed. And I don't disagree with the sentiment, but from a business perspective, he can't even say his movie that he just released during COVID broke even. Now, VOD and Blu-ray numbers may come out, but once again, those I don't think should be counted because those aren't in theaters.
Yep.
So it's this idea that like you are now relying upon the services and product availability that you railed on and are railing against to maybe make money on this movie that you put out. But this also tells you that the era of the overblown $200-400 million budget movies is done. You won't see these budgets after the new Mission Impossible. Not going to happen. Well, Tom Cruise, he's pumping out that Scientology bank to fund the fucking thing, so he's literally printing money. That's why he's all stressed out screaming at people. He's got the church telling him, you better keep some ads in there. I like Tom Cruise movies. I don't like Tom Cruise. He's been in some great movies. Kind of a weird fuck in real life.
He's a weirdo. So I guess we should explain what we think is the plot of this movie.
Right now, it's going to say, Nerditude explains Tenet. It's going to come across the screen.
Alex, I'll let you go first.
All right, so just the stuff that I gathered, I was kind of getting like a time cop feel when they said a couple things in there.
Yeah, a little bit.
I did get that there was people that there was going to be duplicates of them because of how they were saying how it's happening. They were mentioned like the time cop thing. They said same body can't occupy the same space. Don't come across stuff. It could be catastrophe. Shit can blow up or whatever.
Can't physically touch each other.
Yeah, but then there was that whole fight scene, which he has the bodysuit on, which they explain later. So what I thought was the guy was gonna end the world because of his love for the woman, and as it went along like that, that's what I thought. I didn't get the whole thing that you said about what you were saying, Matt, about what you think it is, but I thought he loved his wife so much that he was going to kill everybody around her because he says, if I can't have her, no one will," and then find out that he has cancer. So I thought that's what it was. I didn't get that whole thing about the water and fucking. I don't know if I said it right.
Lewis, I'm gonna let you go first because I know you were literally texting us like 4 days ago. Like, I got shit to say about this fucking movie. You like went Mel Gibson on it. So you go ahead first.
I have more complaints to say about the leaps in logic, but basically, and since we're obviously we're just talking about the movie, so sometime in the future, a scientist discovers, I believe it's plutonium 241 or whatever, and this type of radiation can reverse entropy on objects. And basically, it's not time travel, but it can. It's fucking time travel. They're trying to say it's not time travel.
Well, so no. The effect on the object is not time travel, but how these object and the technology got to where it is time travel. It was basically there was 9 of these things that were spread apart that would make one whole to complete the algorithm that were made in the future. And to hide them, she hid them in 9 distinct locations in the past.
Yeah. But the reason they sent it back is because from what we gather that the movie tells us, in the future they want to prevent a global catastrophe due to global warming. So the scientist not only breaks the algorithm into 9 pieces, they send it back. Not only do they send back the 9 pieces, they send back instructions on how to build the turnstile to use the algorithm. So my problem with this movie is
why would you teach them?
It's the future, and we built this device that isn't a bomb but could be used like a bomb. So we send it back in time, but we separate it so no one knows what it is.
I'll send it back.
But then we send instructions. And Sator, the main villain, like, he's essentially going along with what Tenet wants, but with his own motives. He's dying of pancreatic cancer and wants to use the algorithm as a bomb because if it's used correctly, time will basically fold in on itself. So his line being like, "If I can have you, no one will." He wants to invert time himself so he can go back to his favorite memory of him and his wife being in Vietnam and commit suicide as basically the algorithm goes off. That's what I got.
So here's the thing. There's scenes that are shown, and what they don't explain is things like when he talks about how he was raised in an abandoned Soviet village that was on the border of nuclear disaster. Where he finds the gold is payment from the future. All of these gold bars. Now, here's one flaw in the logic. Early on in the film, when the doctor demonstrates the reverse entropy on the bullet, she says you have to have picked it up before, in order for it to do the reverse thing to you, right? So later on in the movie, he gets the gold bars shipment while he's on his yacht, boat, cargo ship thing, and he's able to reverse entropy it. How? If he wasn't the one that initially put it in that thing. That's just a little hole that I had noticed. But from what my take on it is, it's literally a war that the future is waging on the past. And there's literally one fucking line that explains it. And it's when Kenneth Branagh, at the end of the film, when he's basically talking to his wife, who there's some Back to the Future type shit going on in a couple of these scenes we'll get to. But says basically, she says why, and he says it's because we destroyed their future. He says their oceans rose and their rivers went dry, and it's our fault. We did it. So he's literally saying future humanity is waging war on past humanity, or present humanity, which is us, because of global warming, because we destroyed the planet in the future. Stupid. Just on the whole thing is due to global warming. We're going to destroy the whole fucking planet, time and space as we know it, because global warming. What? Anyways, that's what I gather that the struggle is. Now, he at first is a pawn, but then he's such a shitty villain. Not how he's acted. Kenneth Branagh's great. He acted it just fine. But the writing of the villain is so shitty that it does boil down to basically almost like he was promised to be able to do these things by them as they paid him over and over to go get these materials and get this technology and spread it throughout this. Because they also, Robert Pattinson has the line that says the more of this technology is on this plane of existence, the more the two existences become one. So that was their entire goal. The future wanted to flood the past with all of this reverse entropy technology that there would be so much of it that the two would become one, and then the future and past would exist as one, and the future would take over and kind of be able to redo to try to stop them from having the planet destroyed. That's the whole thing. He goes off on the tangent and decides to use the technology as a bomb and romanticize it because he's got cancer. The reason he's got cancer is from all the years being out in the nuclear fields, harvesting this technology for them, getting the gold from him. He even says it when he says we were the only company that would go out there. We're still the only company that does work in these hot areas. So he's got pancreatic cancer due to all the exposure of radiation he's taken across the years. Because, it's the future, but they can't send him some fucking form of radiation shielding for him to wear while he's in the hot zones. They can send him goddamn gold bars that float back to him when he pulls them out of a crate, but you can't give him something to shield himself, to protect himself from the excessive amount of radiation he's taking on working for you. You fucking asshole future people. The future people don't deserve to live. It's like basically the future us is that movie with Ice Cube, the John Carpenter one, Mission to Mars, not Mission to Mars, Ghost of Mars. That's who we become. Like, this movie is just full of total, just the concept that because of global warming, we become a savage society. I don't know. It's not a confusing movie to me. It's a frustrating movie to me. Because you have the technical issues, which are the dialogue mainly. And I said this privately to you guys. Christopher Nolan is an incredible action scene set piece director. But he's piss poor at directing any other fucking scene. His scenes that aren't action scenes are directed like he's making a TV show. I don't know what it is with him. And then all the dialogue that should be crisp and clear is low. Meanwhile, I hear the pipes dripping because they're underground. It is just ludicrous. And then his response to it is basically, fuck you. I'm going to make the movies how I want to make them. I feel they should be this way. And it's like, and I'm supposed to listen to you on business advice for VOD and Warner Brothers mergers, huh? And then a new article just came out about him separating from them because of this whole thing.
He's already done.
So what I want to bring up is the rules of inversion that this film sets up. So if you inverse time and you dial the clock back, because things are inversed, you can't breathe oxygen normal. All of your other bodily fluids, for some reason, act normal. Your eyes that take in oxygen while you blink, it's fine. You don't need a full mask on. Fucking knocking my mic over.
You did a Conan O'Brien there.
So, one question that I can't find an answer to. So Neil, who was recruited by the protagonist in the future to go back in time to help the protagonist. So he's obviously inversed himself so far back to meet the protagonist. So he's not in his normal timeline, which means he needs oxygen. So how is Neil not needing oxygen throughout this whole film? Because that version of Neil doesn't exist. And especially if the film alludes to Neil being Maximilian.
I feel
if that logic kind of goes out the window.
Well, hold on though, because you got to remember
He does
he's
go back and forth.
Yeah, you can go forward. Like you can, according to the film's logic, apparently you can reverse back, but as long as you have that chamber, you can. As long as you correct to go forward, you're fine. The whole idea being like he's gone back far, but as long as he's gone through that chamber to go forward, his bodily functions will be normal. It's just it's in a different timeline.
But it gets weird because he goes through the turnstiles multiple times.
Yes.
And that's another thing this movie does. This movie does a lot of shit off screen. And if this is a movie where if you're not like paying attention, you're just like, wait, what? Like there's a lot of scenes in this movie, and it doesn't help. It really doesn't help that the dialogue is so hard to hear. Because like Matt said,
when you watch it, use subtitles. You'll appreciate it. You'll know what the fuck's going on.
This movie isn't hard to follow, but there's one-liners that if you don't catch because of the audio, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like what? You don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, all the charm that the characters are given between the dialogue is missed because you can't fucking hear it.
Yeah, like the whole conversation with Michael Caine, I didn't hear much of that. And then the first conversation he had with the boss lady in the high rise,
Pyro.
I didn't hear most of that. But I just heard like everything else around it.
Well, like I said, I purposely had my system turned up, and I was still kind of like, wow, this is hard to hear. Like I had subtitles going, so I didn't miss anything. And the problem was I had to turn subtitles off to just appreciate how low it was, so I did. And I was like, oh fuck, wow, like, because my brain is, because I watch a lot of shit at night, so I have subtitles on quite a bit, so my brain is kind of almost trained to ignore the dialogue itself at this point and just read along. And so when I turned it off, I was like, holy shit, because I looked at my decimal meter and my fucking surround sound, and I'm like getting pretty close to maxing it out. And like I said, the house is shaking. And the dialogue was still like, what, come again? You know, it's just like, man, people that complain in the theaters, it must have been terrible to watch this movie and not be able to know what they were fucking saying. Like, bring it back to theaters, 2021 subtitles edition.
When did they make reference that he's Max? I didn't catch that. Or
they don't say it specifically, but
so that was just you guys grabbing at it. Okay.
Yeah, but when he talks to him at the end of the movie, when he's telling him basically, we've gotten up to stuff, and then you see that where Washington wasn't supposed to be a part of their lives at all, he's in fact watching their back the whole time, and so the whole idea is like, if he can, you don't know a lot about Neil is the problem. Like I said, I'd like to see a movie dedicated to him, because he's been through some time warps.
That's what I mean by like bland characters. Like you watch, for me, I'm watching the movie, and in most movies, like James Bond, for example, Daniel Craig, like even in Casino Royale, the Bond character because it's a whole legacy, but his character is interesting enough to where like you want to know more. I feel like in this movie, with not so much the acting and the writing, like the whole time I'm watching the movie, like I want to know more about Neil's character, and there's a main character called the protagonist, and
he literally says it in the fucking movie. He goes, "I'm the protagonist, remember?" What?
Well,
and I don't blame. Yeah, I don't blame John David Washington for that, because he's an awesome actor.
He was great in it. Yeah, it's shitty writing. Yeah. He was great in it. I mean, the martial arts he performed, he was in great shape. His action scenes were good. His dialogue when I was reading along with it was great. Just, to kind of try to associate the words with the mumbles I was hearing. I thought he was great in it. I thought, and then the other problem is from the beginning, by the end of the movie, at the outset, Neil's dead. There's no more Neil.
I mean, technically, Matt and I were discussing this, but the entire plot of the movie already happened.
Yeah, Neil's been dead. He just doesn't know it yet. That's his final mission. That's why he says, "I'll see you at the beginning," because Washington's going, and he hasn't started with him, and then Neil is going the other direction. He's going to certain death because he sacrifices himself for Washington.
Because he realizes that he's got to be downstairs or whatever.
And he says it's already happened. And that's where the truth of the movie comes out, because he basically says it's already happened. We don't have any choice. We just got to be there.
And doesn't it happen again, like in 10 minutes after he leaves? Like when he gets down there, it starts.
That's the whole thing.
That's when they show up.
They get out of the situation, and then they're like, "We're going to go back and make sure there's no timelines or anything we haven't missed." And that's the timeline he's going to where he gets shot and killed in front of Washington, or past Washington.
But I think towards the end, he pretty much knew, like, this was the end for him. Like, this is how it had to be.
Which begs the question is, how much more does he know? Like, I don't like how there's a whole Harry Potter fucking handling of time travel and radiation magic shit, man. It's just beyond fucking logic.
That's why I like Inception, because it's a movie that plays with these ideas that are not hard to comprehend. They're very pseudoscience-y, but the movie gives you enough of a string to pull on to kind of understand the logic. And I feel like Tenet kind of is like a movie like, oh no, fuck you, like my writing's better than your logic, watch it again. Like that's what I feel like this movie kind of treats the viewer as.
If you have criticism, you just didn't understand it. You should watch it again.
Exactly. That's how I feel.
No, I fucking understand the movie. You made fucking convoluted bullshit and is trying to pass it off as legitimate movie writing. Because the worst part of this movie is the writing. Action scenes directed amazingly. The writing, there are a few one-liners between characters that you can't hear if you're in the theater anyway. So there's and like you said, these characters are dull because he didn't build characters. He created NPCs and threw them as quick dialogue segments. That's all they were. He didn't give any character to any of them. This could have been the fucking Matrix on how this movie was made. And you wouldn't know if they didn't tell you. The Matrix 4 and Christopher Nolan fucking edition. Because he gave no soul to anybody. The main fucking guy doesn't have soul. He's a heartless killer for the CIA who chose the cyanide pill instead of giving up his crew during torture. So he's a heartless killer. Pyrrha, the arms dealer who is, when you find out, has been in the background the whole fucking time. She's a heartless killer that how can you give a shit about her? She's interesting for 2 seconds when she hides behind her husband as who he thinks is the actual leader when it's her. 2 seconds she's interesting. So this stuff, and here's the problem, this suffers from the exact same issue Spree suffered from, but Spree was going for that. This movie, Nolan was lazy and didn't write characters. He's the opposite of Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith writes great characters and so-so scripts, or so-so stories. Nolan, great stories, shit characters.
Well, you compared him to Michael Bay in his action scenes, and I wonder if Nolan is to the point in his career where his writing, he knows he doesn't have to write something good because he's like, I'm fucking Christopher Nolan. People are gonna come watch a Nolan movie in the theaters.
I mean, yeah, he's not wrong. Let's be honest. But but then it all goes to this idea that like he's the most vocal out there, and started the movement that was anti-Warner Brothers merger. And it's like, but then you look at the financials in his movie that he's touting, that anytime anybody criticizes, is told you didn't understand it. They criticize a technical issue. Well, you don't understand movie making. This is how it should be done. And it's like, you know what, motherfucker? You don't have the audience you once had because of COVID. And you need to fucking learn what the future is going to be, because you're not going to get another $400 million budget with marketing and everything to just maybe break even with VOD and Blu-ray sales. They're not going to fund, and who's going to fund you now? You're leaving Warner Brothers according to the newest data. Where are you going to go? What studio is going to give you $200 million in raw filmmaking budget?
Yeah,
that you might break even on.
Yeah, I mean, he has his own production studio, but all of his money was coming from Warner Brothers.
Yeah, he does. He's not safe. Nolan hasn't been indie funded since Memento. And he's done some off the wall shit that, like, he's done Insomnia. I like that movie. I love Memento. The Following or Follower, whatever the fuck it was called, was okay.
Dunkirk was amazing.
Dunkirk was great. Another one that had some sound issues as well, some audio issues as well. There was a weird low mid end in that movie that just drove me fucking nuts. But beyond that, the movie was really incredible, actually.
For some reason, I thought he directed 1917.
No, that was Sam Mendes, Skyfall director.
That's a good fucking film.
I actually haven't watched it yet.
Oh, it's really good.
I want to, but we haven't. We started playing. I got my wife Animal Crossing for Christmas, and it's just absorbed.
It's an addiction.
It's absorbed her fucking soul. Like, literally, we've been plowing through The Office so much because we've been watching it, and she's been playing Animal Crossing mobile. And I can't play a game for more than like a half hour without losing my fucking attention span. So I'm bouncing around at like that and Mario and tennis and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, you're not playing Animal Crossing anymore?" It's like I no. I can't sink hours into that fucking. I can't sink 45 minutes into that game. Like, it's fun, don't get me wrong, but there's shit to do. So basically, and then I have a problem with the car chase scene because it starts with a really cool build up, and then just kind of like flounders out. Like, there's a lot of build up for like not a whole lot of whatever, and then you have the environmental effects that happen to you when you're in the inverse are the opposite. So when Kenneth Branagh goes to light him on fire, it actually almost freezes him to death and gives him hypothermia.
There is also the scene at the end when they're doing the temporal pincer movement, where it seems like both the teams get out of their helicopters and they're just shooting at nothing. Like,
Yeah.
Well, then that whole battle scene looks so stupid.
it does.
It's just like fucking glitched out, like, yeah, we're in a battle.
Yeah, you got those running backwards, and
It's Cyberpunk 2077 pre first patch.
Yeah, it's like, no, go ahead and try the beta of Cyberpunk.
Like, I think that idea sounded cool on paper, but that whole end scene with the soldiers just glitching out, shooting at nothing, it looked bad.
or when they're catching the rockets after blowing up the.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that was cool was when the missiles would reverse, so like they would feel the shockwave and then you would see it pull out from the earth. That was neat, but like it wasn't utilized. Like there should have been a legit battle scene where you see like that coming back down. And then there was that really weird, cheesy fucking scene when in real time on both sides they blow up the buildings with the RPGs, and it looks like something out of fucking the Puppeteer movie from from the South Park guys. Team America. Like the buildings literally looked like something out of Team America in that scene, and I understand wanting to use conventional effects, but like it looked like shit. Like I don't know how else to put it. It looked like shit.
So did that one scene there? It creates cover because the whole building's here. The first half is like the top half is gone, and then when they do it at the second time, when it reverses, the bottom half of the building falls out. Right? Did I notice that right? Or
Yeah. So it wasn't that it was. Yeah. They weren't even doing and that wasn't doing the same attack either. They were literally waiting for it to reverse and then doing another attack on each of those buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I waited to watch this, and I'm glad we reviewed it because I don't know if I would have watched it right away because I'm kind of tired of Christopher Nolan's fucking mouth. Like, as a consumer, it doesn't make any sense to me to wait for the movie theaters to open for these movie companies. Are they going to make as much money as they would if they got a fully packed theater like it used to be? No. But when is it? It's not going to get back to how it used to be in 2021.
No, and we were talking about this off air. Like these other studios keep postponing their movies. They're losing buzz, and like I said, none of these movies are going to make their money for probably a couple years.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing: and you gotta understand. I think what people need to understand is this is the last slates of big budget movies for right now. It makes sense for Warner Brothers to say, fuck it. All of our big budget movies we're doing in 2021. After this, half the budgets because we have to anticipate going to a VOD crowd. People don't understand that this is the movie making industry is changing to try to work with COVID. You can't have a $200 million budget on a movie anymore because there's no clear path to make that money back.
The one thing that is going to profit off of this, though, in the summertime is fucking drive-in theaters again.
Well,
But-
not only that,
Movies at a time.
Yeah.
you gotta realize the more people stay home, what's gonna profit more is TV shows. They're gonna get their money from ads, and people are watching more TV than ever because they have nothing to do. So you're probably gonna see more shows spend fucking Game of Thrones money, because people are gonna watch it and people pay for these services, and that's why it's that's why me being a horror movie lover, it's like, fuck you, AAA studios. Like,
Yeah.
you're not needed. It's cool that you're there, but I gotta be honest, when I watched this movie, I did have to keep reminding myself, like, watch it and don't be pissed off at the shit Christopher Nolan said in the one episode we did, because it does, like, it as a movie viewer, it's like a fuck you to the consumer. It's like I don't know. It really pissed me off, like the whole fallout with him and Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Come see my movie, but don't have an opinion on anything I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because your opinion doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, within this last year, you've had smaller movies that are making crazy bank on VOD. Are these small movies going to replace movies like Tenet? No, but it's proof that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, as much as I dislike the fucking movie, Invisible Man cost $11 million to make. It made what, $120 million?
Yeah, it made a shit ton of money.
I mean, you can still make big bucks. I mean, that movie wasn't what I would call low budget feeling at all.
Yeah.
As much as I disliked the story and everything, it didn't have a low budget feel. The CG was great. I mean, they had some acting talent in there. Elizabeth Moss is relatively well known. I mean, it just, my problems with that movie are well known. But you can make the argument that a $200 million budgeted movie doesn't make sense in a COVID era industry. It just doesn't. You can't have it, and that's why. Like I said, that's why guys like Tom Cruise are out there pulling their fucking hair out and screaming at the crew, because he's got a lot of his own money invested in that fucking production, and he understands. He understands that
his own stolen money.
He's a hair away from getting shut down at all fucking times.
Do you think, and this is, it's hard to say this is not political because it is, but in the movie business, do you think if Hollywood is like, we don't need these crazy budgets, we could stop taking financing from fucking China for our films?
I would love that to be the case, because frankly, I'm getting tired of Chinese censorship making their way into American movies. It's enough. This isn't China. We don't make movies solely for Chinese audiences. It's enough. I don't give a fuck what they think. And every time a movie gets edited because of what, look at Top Gun 2. American made, right? Why the fuck is there a China patch on his sleeve? How am I supposed to feel about that? Top Gun was literally a fucking 1980s boner to Americanism. And literally, because China's half funding fucking Top Gun 2, he's got a China patch on all of a sudden. Which will probably be explained by some UN-like organization that was created in between the two movies. I don't need that shit. Why would I? And this is the problem with the filmmaking industry in general, is why would I spend money to go get fucking propaganda shoved down my throat? It was the same problem with bands in the Bush era. You go see a band in the Bush era, and all they would, Corey Taylor would run his fucking mouth for 25 minutes in between songs about how much he hated Bush. That's not what I pay for. You want to make a movie that's politically motivated? Sure, do it. I don't need to support it. I'm tired of it. Movies are supposed to be fun. That's why, to me, a service like Shudder is more, despite the lack of constant content, is more valuable than fucking HBO with all their different, to go on HBO Max. What is recommended to you? John Oliver, what is it? Bill Maher, this political comedian special, this this special. That's all that's shoved down your fucking throat. Oh, this represents these voices. Watch this. How about you let me choose what I'd like to watch without flooding my fucking home screen with garbage that you'd like to throw down my throat? Like, I should be able to go into an app and escape reality a little bit. And the only product that HBO Max has to escape reality a little bit is fucking Reno 911. Everything else has become so politically motivated, so socially woke motivated, that there's entertainment has become too much intertwined with politics, too much intertwined with this idea of, well, you should think this way, and if you don't, you're going to be a problem. Because that's where we are with censorship, and whether it be Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Chappelle's show before he asked them to remove it from HBO Max, them editing episodes out that involved I can't remember what the Ron Jeremy, because surprise
Those
surprise,
are some of the best episodes.
surprise surprise, Ron Jeremy, the 1970s porn star, is a fucking sex predator. Couldn't see that one coming.
A narcoleptic sex predator.
So like this idea that like we can erase history is a false thought, and it's you're gonna repeat history and you're fucking doomed. Erase it. You don't learn from things you erase.
That's why you inverse time.
Yeah.
And you build turnstiles.
You got to Neo Max it back time 30 years, and then I think it's up down, left right, A B A B, and then
up, down, left, right, BA.
BA.
So let's start if you have two players.
Okay.
So I do see there's hints at a potential sequel
Prequel
to this
sequel.
film. If it has nothing to do with Neil, I don't know if I care.
I don't want to see a sequel. I just want to see a Neil movie.
It's going to be Michael Caine's prequel.
We burned the forest down.
No, the sequel is in the future, right after they send the algorithm back, and then John David Washington is like, "Oh yeah, it worked," and that's it. Credits.
We have saved the day.
Well, they don't send it back. One, they have 2 and 1. They split it, right?
No.
So protagonist gets 2, and the other guy gets 1.
Well, no, yeah, but they in the future they send back the entire 9 pieces of the algorithm.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Which is essentially like we created this thing that's potentially a bomb. Let's just send it back. Like what?
well, not only that, but isn't the fact that they're all still alive throughout the entire movie proof that the worst case scenario doesn't happen?
Yep.
Like the
And
fact
that's the
that the
thing.
entire movie is there proves that they succeed in the end.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you are a science guy, you're watching this movie and you're like, why did I just watch this?
And most of their interaction with the inverse people are themselves. It's not really any villains.
I did find it funny how Robert Pattinson, when he battles Washington, when he's in the police gear and pulls off his helmet, looks at him and he's just like, not gonna fucking touch it. Go, here's your helmet back. Like, he looked at him like, nope. All sorts of weirdness. Either that or it actually was more like a look of like, I know exactly what's going on. Because obviously Neil, once again, him and Washington have history. Years of history, apparently, even though he's like 34, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are other weird scenes, like why did inverse John David Washington fire at John David Washington? Was it to
He was trying to unload the clip.
To unload the clip?
Yeah. I believe it was so he would unload the clip so it wouldn't be used against him, so there wouldn't be a chance of being fired upon.
Wouldn't it make more sense to fire away? I mean, if you're just a little bit off.
Yeah, but the problem is when you fire away, if you're just a little bit off, you're shooting yourself in the fucking head.
And he doesn't shoot him; he stabs him.
Yeah, he gets stabbed in the arm.
So yeah, he does try to unload the clip, and then he actually pulls the top off.
But it also showed you the two timelines as well, and how they're ever looping. Because when he was on the cargo thing, is when he felt the stab wound, which means that scene was already happening. Or it already happened, so he was feeling the effects from it being in the reverse. So it literally it's like he wanted to make a time travel movie and was like, I can't make a time travel movie. I'm Christopher Nolan. Radiation this bitch up. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's pretentious for him to think that the audience should be like, no, these gaping holes, we'll ignore them because you're Christopher Nolan. It doesn't work that way.
Wouldn't it have been awesome if Jean-Claude Van Damme would have popped up and said, "It looks like I'm still on Broadway," and because he's still kicking?
Jesus. If Van Damme would have showed up, I probably would have liked this movie more.
I don't know. It's in my mind, just after watching the 4 Bond films, it was hard for me to not compare them, because Bond's character has like Bond himself has enough like character and bravado to make him seem interesting, and that's why it bums me out that the writing didn't like make some of these characters seem interesting. It just seemed kind of bleak. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And it sucks because there are some great actors in this movie.
Yeah, the performances were done really well. I didn't have anything really against the acting, to be honest with you. It was just the writing, in my opinion. Some sections wasn't bad, and some sections it was just shit, and it was drawn out.
Even Kick-Ass guy was pretty good in this.
He was He was my second favorite character, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
He's another one. I wish he was in the movie more. I want to know more about that dude.
Give me a Neil and him movie, because they were both working together.
And he was so different looking. I kept saying that he looked familiar, but I couldn't.
So one thing I don't understand
Like
is Robert Pattinson said he worked for Pyra, right? The woman.
Yes.
But he can't work for her because he says he works for Washington. But does that mean Washington, when he kills Pyra at the end of the movie, takes over her position?
That's what I assumed it was.
Because he murders her at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was just done. I thought Pyra wasn't a part of it anymore. He changed that part of it.
But Neil said, though, earlier in the movie, when he said, "Who are the cavalry?" he said, "We work for Pyra." Which could have just been a lie. I don't know. But if that's...
Unless it's like a double agent thing, like they were pretending to work for Pyra.
Yeah, because he's also sent back to infiltrate in some way.
Well, he was pretending to work for Pyra, but he might have been undercover because he was working for Washington, too, technically.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything last to wrap up this fucking movie? It's not a confusing movie when you actually think about it. It's a frustrating movie when you think about it. Then you compile the asshole what he said off of, when he's talked about, and it's like, if this is what you're going to produce for $200 million, brother, fuck off.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Even if I remove my frustration with Nolan as a person, this movie still, like you said, it's not a confusing movie. When you think about his writing, it gets pretty fucking confusing as to why some of the choices were made.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch, but like this isn't like Inception where I don't know, I can't see myself wanting to watch this again for like quite some time.
No.
Whereas when I initially left the theater for Inception and even for Interstellar, which in my opinion wasn't as good as Inception, I my first thought was like, I can't wait to watch that again. I don't know.
No, not on this one at all. Like the beginning of the movie gave me hope with the opera house scene. I thought that scene was the best scene in the movie in a lot of respects. It was classic Christopher Nolan's action set pieces, but when you start, there's a certain point in the movie where you're kind of like, wait a second, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And from there, nothing gets fixed. There's no atonement for every pseudoscience bullshit he throws in there.
The action still was kind of cool as far as like what you were saying with the opera thing. That whole scene is just like intense. It's running.
Oh, great! Great action.
A little bit of parkour.
Yeah, parkour.
You know, a little bit of parkour was missing.
Parkour.
Some of the doppelganger scenes, like where they kind of see each other at the end, like at the end of whatever it is.
I actually like those scenes.
When you see it the first time and you hear about it, and then you actually see what they saw, it's like, okay, now that's kind of cool that you see it.
It's very Back to the Future too.
Yeah. Except the mom's not trying to have sex with the son.
Well,
Yeah,
she wasn't in number 2. God. But it's got that whole, like, then, how they explain, like, the woman that she saw on the boat was actually her killing him, like, so.
Well, like when he just falls off the goddamn boat.
That's why I texted, the floppy body was awesome. It's just like.
The neck alone was just like.
Yeah, and then it went through the guardrail and boom, oh, yeah, it was. Best part of the movie was when Kenneth Branagh's floppy body went over the boat.
And it made a lot of sense why she kept throwing the fucking what's it called, sunscreen on the deck, and she was wetting it down.
Yeah. She was just lubing it up.
She was lubing it up to make it go slip inside.
Well, that's the crazy thing is, like, at the same time as a lot of this stuff is happening, he was already dead the whole time.
Yep.
For hours, 36 hours or whatever, 48 hours before any of this is supposed to happen, even though the way they present it is simultaneous, he's been dead. From the moment Washington meets her, she's already killed him. She just doesn't know it yet.
His motives, though, are such like a fucking knockoff Kmart brand Bond villain, though. Like, they're just stupid to me.
I'm angry because the future people made me have cancer by giving me their gold, which was irradiated. So, like,
and I can't be with you.
I'm going to fucking, like, kill the world or something. I like Kenneth Branagh. I was actually excited to see him. But a little bit, yeah, I'm tired.
You're Russian Hispanic there.
Do not insult my Russian accent, you pig. You are,
right, so
you are putting
should we
Misha
rate
Barton
this?
to shame. Yeah, you go ahead.
She's fat. All right, I'll go first.
I didn't expect it.
I don't know. This movie sits in the middle for me.
C-
I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 5. Like I said, this movie has some cool ideas. The writing drags it down. It would maybe be a 3.5 if I didn't want to punch Christopher Nolan in the face, who I still am a fan of.
Memento 2.
Yeah, but yeah, as far as like I would love to have seen this movie had Nolan been at the top of his game. I think with the cool like ideas with science that this movie uses, and who knows, maybe it could have been better with more time. Ironically, that's something
I wish
said.
he would have put this movie out in between Dark Knight and the third Batman.
Yeah.
You would have I would have been a little bit more tolerant with it. But, and the other problem is he's got a movie like Inception out there, which is an incredible movie. That is also weird and fucked around with, but it somehow makes more sense than this movie.
But it's also like, I mean, he did Inception, Interstellar, Tenet, Dunkirk was different, but
Dunkirk was
like,
good.
yeah, and that's another thing. Like, you look at those 4 movies, and you want to tell Nolan, like, hey, dude, show me something cool that's not timey-wimey science. Like,
Yeah.
like give me something new.
I didn't know he did Man of Steel.
He didn't.
What's
They've
up?
got him listed. They've got him listed here.
Snyder,
For what?
Snyder directed Man of Steel.
He might have like a producer credit or a partial writing credit.
They got him. Yeah, they got him written as a writer for the story.
Oh yeah, he did help with writing. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like Nolan is playing it too safe, especially with this movie. I feel like he knows he's Nolan. He can get people in seats, and he's being a whiny bitch because COVID happened.
I'd argue he's getting too self-indulgent. He needs to stop thinking about what the fuck he wants in his movies and start thinking about what the audience wants. Because, I'm sorry, I don't give 2 fucks what Christopher Nolan's opinion on movies is, especially when one of his favorites is fucking Tokyo Drift. No. Yeah, dick.
Do you think he sits in his home theater and watches his movies?
He says he does. He says he has a reference level, because he's got a reference level movie theater at his home, like every, modern person should have, right? So he feels that his audio tracks are just fine on his reference studio theater movie at his house. The little fucking asshole.
Yeah, every person watching this on VOD totally has a Dolby Atmos sound system in their fucking house.
No, they've got speakers lined up their asshole. Yeah, they're everywhere. They're under the chairs, they're in the floorboards, they're in the ceilings.
Screen,
Yeah, everywhere. And they're implanted in the
backlights it,
back of their fucking
backlights it.
skulls.
But yeah,
Demolition Man style.
I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 5. This movie has some cool scenes. It's got some fantastic acting. It's lacking on writing. It's worth a watch. Like I said, it's not something I can see myself watching anytime soon again, though. So 3 out of 5.
Alex.
I'll leave it for Matt to go last. But I'm gonna go 3 out of 5 as well. If it was a little shorter and it cut out some of the dialogue that I couldn't hear much of at the beginning, it still would have been a nice little action thing for me.
Might as well cut out all the dialogue you can't fucking hear.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I could hear some of it and some of it I couldn't. And even when I started watching with the subtitles, it was still kind of like, am I paying attention? No. Some of the things I liked was actually a lot of the things I liked was the action, the cheese grater. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh
part.
yeah. Oh, I don't like that.
Cool. That was just the fight at the beginning.
I forgot about that.
I did like the fight against himself, and I thought it was kind of funny how he was scrambling away from the gun.
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff. And then when they played it reversed, it made a lot of sense. So yeah, that's why I'm going to go with the 3 out of 5. It was still entertaining for me as far as action goes, but same thing. The dialogue thing was I could have done without it because I didn't hear much of it.
And that's another thing. So that scene with the squeaky upside down Reagan from Exorcist, that's one scene where the audio kind of like leveled out and you heard them taking body shots and breathing, and it's like, Nolan, start doing this more. Like,
but in the first fight scene, it didn't sound like that, right? It was only in the second fight scene.
no, it was the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one you were at a rock concert. The second one it was quiet.
All right, I'm gonna give it 2 out of 5 hot dogs without subtitles. 2.5 out of 5 with subtitles. There's some goofy shit that happens in this movie. The action set pieces, I said before, he's an incredible action set piece director. However, there wasn't enough of them. You get a couple cool fight scenes. The end battle scene is just ridiculous looking and stupid. And frankly, I wanted more action out of this movie because, once again, you release a movie in the theaters that you can't understand the fucking dialogue. So, frankly, only make the action movie. I like the heist feel of it. The whole movie has kind of a weird heist feel, which, in my opinion, the action doesn't justify the means at the end of it. There's a whole car chase that conquers out into nothingness. And then we're brought back to the car chase again from a different point of view that conks out to nothingness. And I don't know. I really wanted to like the movie. I went into it going, fuck it, I really don't care about the audio issues. But when you experience them, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you live in an apartment building, get used to subtitles, or I hope you have a nice pair of headsets, because there's no fucking decibel level you're going to be able to reach with a sound system that won't get you kicked out of your fucking house.
Or at least nice neighbors.
Yeah, or you have passive aggressive notes on your fucking door the next morning. Yeah, I like I said, 2 without subtitles, 2.5 with. It's one of my least favorite Christopher Nolan movies. It was, like I said, the beginning of it gives you a lot of hope. The opera house scene is pretty incredible as far as action wise, and then the movie slowly teeters from there to be. You get a couple cool fight scenes after that, mainly between the one main character. Neil is underdeveloped. They don't go into his history enough, and I don't want to hear, oh, that's part of the bullshit. The one character in this movie that's interesting, you don't give me any background of.
Like I said, they had enough time, 2.5 hours.
Yeah. So, yep, that's my take on it. Anything else anybody want to say before we wrap up the episode?
Yeah, for some reason I didn't piece together that Denzel Washington was John David Washington's dad. I just thought they had the same fucking last name.
I didn't even look it up. No shit. Nice. I mean, hey, fucking talent's been handed down. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see him in more physical action movies because he can do the martial arts. He's in great shape. He's young. Like, hell, if he wasn't American, because I know people would piss all over it, I'd be okay with him as a contender for the next Bond.
Yeah. Man, for Bond, I always thought Idris Elba would be a good one.
He's too old
Um,
though now.
yeah, now he's too old.
He's like 40. He's in his mid 40s, I think.
Fuck, we need to review the Bond movie
I
sometime.
think Henry Cavill would be a great Bond. Like, I know people hate him because he's in everything, but he would legitimately. Have you seen A Man from U.N.C.L.E.? He would be an
No.
incredible. A Man from U.N.C.L.E., he plays a spy. It's on Vudu. Watch it. He's incredible.
It's got that cannibal guy, Army Hammer.
Yeah, that guy's such a fucking douchebag. Oh yeah. By the way, when it comes out, this is bullshit. This is all lies. 2 days later, I'm sorry for saying this. I'm sorry for doing this. Apology. Oh, all lies, huh? You fucking weird asshole. He needs to
did
disappear
apologize?
too. He apologized. Yes. Fuck Army Hammer. Fucking weirdo.
Oh, he played the twins on Social.
No, he
Social
didn't.
Network.
No, Army Hammer. I mean, was he? I don't know. It might have been.
He was the twins. He was the guys that supposedly created.
I've only seen that movie. You know what movie's better than that movie? The Steve Jobs movie with Ashton Kutcher.
I've never seen that.
It's actually pretty fucking good. Ashton Kutcher's a good actor. I wish he would do it more because I don't watch that ranch show that he was on. I didn't have any interest in that. But anything else before we wrap up here, gentlemen?